discussing this morning, NHIS should provide free cover to people above 60 years. And yeah, there's an indigent group, but it's over 60. That time I was complaining that people retire at 60. Then you put the age they can access without
Like 70.
70. So the 10 years, what are we expecting them to do? I mean, sometimes there was a time that even when they start receiving payments come after the 60, those things should be synchronized in a way that when you retire, the expectation is that you fall within the grouping. Or have we? Do we need to redesign and make our retirement 70 years?
Do you know?
Is that what we are targeting? Is there a reasonable expectation that we want to push up, or for specific groups, 70 years? For example, for teachers, the gentleman might be teaching from the age of 35. He becomes a professor at the age of 50 or 55. Or some are now becoming younger professors. Then he retires in the next 5 years. At the prime, when he's most, perhaps say, intelligent, when he has done a lot more research, that's the time that we expect him to retire. Why, if we think that Supreme Court judges have to go up to 70, why not the, what they call it, professor?
Indeed. I mean,
and we only give them post-retirement contracts so that we'll keep them around. But just make sure that you do an extension for some of these
longer.
people.
Yeah. Why can't we just be flexible to our benefit? I don't understand. Like, why must we be rigid to our detriment?
One of the theories has been that we don't have enough jobs, so somebody ought to go for somebody to replace it.
That is preposterous.
Yeah, but some of these people, they are very invaluable. Imagine a professor of medicine.
What does that even mean? So the job is being done. And it's being done well, not just that it's being done at its best, because this person is in his prime, his intellectual prime. But you are saying that go for someone else to have a turn and just do it a little bit. Not that you are going to get better output. You are not. So what's the advantage of that policy, of turning it into a carousel? One must go for one to come. It's not like one is going for two to come. So what's the benefit?
But those are signs of not growing your economy properly. Because if you expand your economy properly, it should get you the chance
Raymond,
to do so.
The National Health Insurance Scheme can take care of everybody in this country.
At 60. No.
Post 60. And even everybody. I still believe that today, the National Health Insurance Scheme is largely funded by the 2.5% NHIL. And the 2.5% that we pay as part of our SNIT contributions, of which we do not even... You. When was the last time you went to the hospital with your National Health Insurance card?
No, I've used it before, but I'm just looking out for it. I think this was sometime, I think around Legon, and I took it to Akawe, and I was disappointed. That was the last day.
Winston Amwa, was giving a National Health Insurance card somewhere 2006, just before I finished the University of Cape Coast. It was compulsory at the time. All of us were giving. I have never used it for any consultation. Yes. I actually prefer my private health insurance. So the point is that the money that I pay can go into helping another person.
But they say they have rolled onto the system everybody who is a SNIT contributor.
Yes, but I'm saying that I still don't use it.
Yeah, I stopped using it when I went to hospitals and I was told that it drew being But then when I brought my other insurance, or when I decided to pay cash, it drew
if we stop this capping of NHI funds, I tell you what, we can actually do that. So, and they will tell you that the subscription, the renewals, is less than 10% of
That's true. So you can get rid of it.
We can get rid of it.
Yeah.
I still believe that we can get rid of it. The government should stop that capping of NHIL funds.
Because there's nothing more important than the health
of the people. So when we have done that, why must somebody wait till he's 70 years? When in fact, I still believe that the National Health Insurance can actually take care of all patients on dialysis in this country. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I mean, let's
get serious in this country and stop this whole every day. And so we're saying, when you are 70 years, what if I don't get to 70?
Let's also admit, though, that as a nation, surprisingly, for a country that really reveres the elderly, we do have a blind spot when it comes to their welfare. we don't really go, as far as we should to ensure that they are comfortable, that even those who have worked a lifetime, right? It's true. And it's even worse when you go to certain parts of the country. I'm interested in what these parties that are fighting for power, what they have unique and special for the elderly, right?
No, it's true.
It's interesting. I can't say that I know what is in the NPP or NDC manifesto, but I happen to recall what I read in Movement for Change's plan. They have a whole comprehensive some sort of welfare scheme for the elderly. What I want to interrogate is how it will be funded, but it sounded really positive. At the very least, it's an interesting starting point for the discussion. But I certainly want to know how they intend to fund it. I hear it was written by their running mate Kwame Owusu-Danso.
Let's continue.
Now, well, and the daily graphic is
hold on.
But the movement of change, they introduced
announced
that their
him not
GTP long time ago.
Yes. GTP
Maybe he was helping write that long time ago.
No.
But you know that the what's it called? Oh yeah, he might have been helping them.
No, he was not helping.
I don't know, but that's what I heard.
No, he was not helping until he was not helping until his nomination.
Oh, no, you say it with so much.
You seem so sure.
Declarative.
But we don't know.
Yes.
We are not there.
Oh no, but
we
I
are
am
not part of the.
No, but I am aware.
He's aware.
How are you aware?
But why?
But I cannot.
What is he disputing?
Well, you know that we cannot discuss issues that are not supposed to be discussed on.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, who wrote it might not be the most important thing now.
Is what is in it?
Yes. Very much so.
Just for the records, he didn't write
it. Just for the record. Now, well, Mahama urges clergy to show interest in election and what's really out there. And it was a long meeting. You say Mahama Fellowship with clergy. Long meeting, but what was really out there is Reverend Owusu Bempah praying for former President Mahama and saying that because of his humility and other things, God has given the country to him to run. Yes. And some people have said this before, that when Reverend Owusu Bempah said President Akufo-Addo will win the election, he indeed won the election. And just that it is the external one that has become problematic.
But I thought Reverend Owusu Bempah was quite literally Nana Akufo-Addo's prophet.
Yes. So he's a man of God. When God says choose this man, he goes with him. When God says choose this man, he goes with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's
not a partisan person. He's a man of God.
I've always been asking questions, and whenever I've had discussions with pastors, I've asked them the question, at the beginning of a new year, why is it that everybody says this is how the year is going to go? I believe in prophecy. I believe in prophecy.
Okay.
And Prophet Owusu Bempah in 2016 predicted Akufo-Addo was going to win. He won. In 2020, Akufo-Addo won also. He also predicted that. And so, well, you may form your own opinions. I am not the one to come and tell you whether the prophecy is true or not. By the 9th or 10th of December, we will know.
Yeah. Now, the Daily Graphic is reported this morning. We won't fail you. EC assures parties. So the Electoral Commission, in a historic move, which we were on TV, was saying that it was a fantastic move. And some are even wondering, why didn't you do it earlier?
Yeah.
To open up the IPAC meeting. And they start with their own presentation of the registration process, the exhibition process, what processes in law they are allowed to use to clean up the register. In fact, they are even willing to go beyond that. In this year's election, if they don't find all the people, of course, that was also another issue the NDC raised, all the people who are supposed to be on, they call it the missing list, the EC will for the first time provide a missing list so that your name might not be on the register, but they have your forms 1A, 1C, to corroborate and check whether or not you, Winston, are indeed registered here. And by some mishap, you are not on the register. So that list will also be provided. Except that the question is, based on which law is that list produced?
Exactly.
Because when you want to insist that everything you do should be according to the provisions of the LIs and the CIs involved in the election and the parent law, certainly some people will ask this question. But generally,
so wait, how does it function? So if you are found on the missing list but you are not on the register, you can still vote.
Yeah, you can vote. Yes.
Interesting.
And that is to make sure that nobody is disenfranchised, because the cracks of the issues the NDC raised was that some people they registered, they even are holding cards, but when they checked the provisional voters register they gave them, their names were not there.
Which the EC admits.
Which the EC admits is to them a legitimate issue. Indeed, the EC also talked about the Pusiga incident and how they have reversed it. And their solution being that this time around, if you want to do any transfer or going into the future, if anybody wants to do anything like that, there should be a liveliness test, which means you don't only need Winston's picture. Winston should be alive, doing all the things that, when some phones, not the iPhone though, if you want to do the facial thing or sometimes it doesn't work. So you have to be moving your head left, right, center, some phones.
But you see,
yes,
for me,
so those ones.
For me, the important thing out of this whole discussion, look at the NDC statement after that. And you would see that even though the NDC talks about some of the challenges they may have, they now accept that, okay, we can do a few things. Right? So, for instance, look at it from this point of view. Let me just read the statement.
Okay.
And the NDC talks about the fact that, okay, the NDC, following the special inter-party advisory committee meeting held today, Tuesday, 1st October 2024, to deliberate on the 2024 provisional voters register, the functional executive committee of the NDC deems it fit to restate the following significant admissions by the Electoral Commission: illegal transfer of voters due to the lack of liveliness test technology as occurred in Pusiga and other constituencies, erroneous addition of previous transfers to the current 2024 transfer list, which the EC had been saying for some time now. Presence of corrupted files in 2024 provisional voters register, which the Commission claims have been rectified and restored, and deleted voters whom the Commission wishes to place on a missing voters register, and a vulnerable EC IT system that is susceptible to data manipulation and infiltration from officials and unofficials of the EC who have access to login credentials. With this background, the Functional Executive Committee of the NEC has deliberated and decided to accept the EC's promise to release to political parties the corrected or updated version of the 2024 Provisional Voters Register for scrutiny within 1 week, and they further welcome the decision of the Electoral Commission to re-exhibit the updated Provisional Voters Register. They however recommend the re-exhibition exercise should be conducted online and offline at the exhibition centers, and additionally, they're demanding a multi-stakeholder and inter-party examination of the IT system of the Electoral Commission. This is my point. You see, the moment the Electoral Commission opened this up, and everybody saw it, while the NDC had their concerns, and they were still asking questions of the Electoral Commission, you could see the effort that the Electoral Commission has put in place in correcting the register. And you could see the efforts that have been put in place also to ensure that nobody is disenfranchised. So the point is that sometimes, look,
you end needless controversy.
Listen to
by
this.
Opening up.
If the NDC
Yeah.
had gone into this meeting with the EC alone, they could have still come back and said, we don't agree. Now, because this was open to all, and we all saw the issues, we all saw the concessions even made by the Electoral Commission.
Yeah.
If you're a political party, you cannot turn around and say, hey, they still have their concerns. But you see, now they adopt a wait-and-see attitude.
And again, even the timeline the EC was given,
Yeah.
it would have sounded unreasonable for you to say, they say, we are still working on it. In fact, the EC boss said this will be far better than what we gave you.
Yeah.
The current state of the register. 2, we are still working on checking which areas or reviewing our IT system to make sure that no individual or any other person might not be omitted or might have been transferred, and all the difficulties are checked. And that give us 1 week to finish. In fact, they said this week we'll finish that. When we finish that, then we provide you the provisional voters register. You cannot insist that you are absolutely opposed to that 1 week timeline.
Exactly.
So what were you expecting?
So
it is after that 1 week they can now come back and say, in fact, I heard the NDC consistently repeat when Dr. Mani Boama said the roof is leaking, seal the roof and not continuously be mopping the floor. I agree. The solution is making sure that nobody can do what happened to it, whether whether deliberately or not deliberately, so that you convince the people that nobody can now deliberately, like the way you say you are introducing a liveness check.
Yeah.
Nobody can now deliberately transfer people, or nobody can now, with other intent, do anything to the register a few days to the election. This would have ended the conversation 2 months ago.
Exactly. The Daily Guide, we'll come back, we'll talk about that. So, sometimes just open it up. And now we all watched it, we all examined it, and so we know what the concerns were and the plans that have been put in place. The Daily Guide says NDC's voter register allegations baseless, NPP provisional register errors corrected, EC Nana swears in 21 new judges. Dr. Okuboy joins Gavi board.
Same newspaper says allegations baseless and also errors corrected.
So there's the NPP that is saying the allegations are baseless. The EC is saying the errors have been corrected. Pastor Love,
and that's the point on it. It took me back to 2015. The NDC representation in that room.
Yep.
Charlie. It wasn't a saying catcher. The man came to do some gymnastics and said, but there's nothing really wrong.
And so the NPP reminded
them that
of what happened in 2015.
Ghana.
But I think that the IPAC constitution, the constitution of IPAC itself, we should be looked at again. But let me continue.
Yes. Okay. Now I feel bad for counting the other time because some of the people who went to say that clearly.
So
really.
Let me add this one. Pastor Love, you know him, Pastor Love, Hammond Love, has been jailed for 4 years for stealing. There's also a story here. The fact that his friend is a man. His name is Hammond Love.
Okay.
His friend imported a vehicle which he asked him to clear and sell so that he can, take out so that he can reimburse himself and then keep the remainder of the money for the friend. Then the friend calls him to say, you know what, you don't sell it. I am coming to Ghana, so I'll pay you your money. Then he goes ahead to say, I took a loan to clear the vehicle and they were charging 20% a month. So, yes, that was in 2016. We're charging 20% a month. So I had to sell the car at 80,000 Ghana cedis. That's a Highlander, 2013 Highlander. And then pay the loan of 70,000 at the time. Then they said, okay, so which institution did you take the loan from? Lead us to the institution. According to the story, he could not. He also couldn't provide the vehicle. So he's now been sentenced to 4 years in prison with hard labor.
The pastor.
Yes. I mean, if I mention someone,
so his name is not Pastor.
It's Pastor Hammond Love. He's actually a pastor.
Oh, okay. No, you see, I was confused.
You don't know him,
Pastor Love.
I don't want to do what a lot of people are doing, so I won't do it. You don't know Pastor Hammond Love. I'll tell you more about him off air. But I don't want to do what people are doing.
So why does it sound very mysterious?
I said I don't want to do what people are doing. Yes, because people are associating him with his ex-wife, and I don't want to do that. So
okay,
let's move on.
Interesting. All right.